Hello, everyone. Welcome to MagnifEssence in Motion. My name is David McLeod, and I am your life mastery coach. I'm also one of the senior partners at the Wellness Universe, and I'm delighted to have you here. I love this program because I get the opportunity to meet some amazing people and to have conversations with them about some really important stuff that is related to the whole journey of getting to know your true self. Today's topic title is The Right Way to Your True Self. And we use that the right way in using the word right, as in with a pen and paper. You know, with all the noise and external expectations we have to deal with every day, the quest to discover and know our true authentic selves can seem daunting. Kind of like navigating a maze with a blindfold on. You know, we sometimes find ourselves held back by internal narratives that we didn't choose and limiting beliefs that we can't quite name. The core challenge is twofold. First, the difficulty to clearly identify our subconscious barriers. And second, the struggle to move beyond mere identification into a state of embodied alignment where our inner truth guides our outer actions. Well, one powerful method you can use for this purpose is writing, but not just any kind of writing. I'm talking about that deep introspective writing that you don't necessarily need to share with anybody, but you can if you choose. And so with that in mind, I want to tell you that in this episode, my friend and colleague, Laura Di Franco, is going to be sharing her perspective on this really powerful topic. She's going to be sharing all kinds of some of interesting stuff related to the idea of writing and really getting to know who you really are. So please join me in welcoming Laura Di Franco to this program.
Oh, hello.
You are fast at this.
Am I here? I'm clicking those buttons like a maniac, David. I'm so happy to be here.
There's a lot of them to click, unfortunately. But so I'm so glad to have you here, Laura. Thank you so much for being here. I know you're a very, very busy person, and now as someone who has brought the words of wisdom through 100 amazing Amazon #1 bestsellers, and many of them international bestsellers, a number of them award-winning books. I mean, you have put your mark on the map of personal growth. And I'm just really impressed and so delighted to be able to call you a friend and a colleague.
Thank you so much. Likewise. I've been here on the show a few times, and I talk about you a lot, and it sounds something like these are super great conversations, and it's because David has this level of awareness that is other level, and that makes for, juicy topics, juicy conversations. So thank you also for being a friend and a colleague. Let's talk about this, writing ourselves to our truth. Yes.
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for that lovely compliment. I really do appreciate it. It's funny, you mentioned being other level awareness, and God, I wish I could really just embrace that and embody it. It seems to me, maybe you've had this experience too. I feel like I've reached a certain level, and then something happens to say, oh, maybe you're not so smart and so aware after all. You ever had that happen?
I mean, it's lifelong practice. Yes, of course. Mm-hmm. It happens. It's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. And we're going to reach our upper limits over and over and over. And I feel like I get better at it. I get faster at pivoting. And the mindset techniques are faster, easier. Life is pretty darn good when you've got the ninja moves, right? So, right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you know a lot about ninja moves. I mean, you got a black belt in, what is it, in karate? Is that right?
Taekwondo.
Oh, taekwondo, yeah. But a black belt, I mean, that means you've reached that level where other people consider you to be a master. And I'm sure that even with a black belt, you still find yourself looking for new ways to improve and get better and so on.
The mark of a master is a learner's mindset, period. So, yeah. Achieving a black belt, and then my second degree, and then my third degree black belt was more about figuring out what I don't know yet, not everything I do know. So I think the more mastery we have, the more open and aware we are trying to be, and to learn from other people and all of that. So I know I cringe a little bit with that piece of things now, because it sounds very impressive, but honestly, I think it was just a commitment to learning about myself, and that's kind of our topic today. That training, was a commitment to like understanding what my body could do, what my mind could do, and today we're going to talk about that, but with another modality.
Yeah, right. And so you touch on this idea of knowing who you are, or learning who you are. I think that's the word you use. And I think that's a really powerful statement, because many of us, well, I think most of us actually, most people already have some idea. I think I know who I am, and they, if I ask you, who are you? Well, most people will say, well, I'm David, or I'm Laura, or something like that. That's how they'll respond initially. But if you press and you ask, thank you for that. I'm glad to know your name, but who are you? What happens is things start shifting and changing, and the mind starts crumbling right there in that moment. Oh yeah, maybe I'm not just my name. Maybe there's more to this package than the little bow that I put on that's unique to everybody else's bow. I mean, I guess some other people have the same bow, have the same name, right? But yeah, it's amazing to me how that idea of getting to know who you really are really is a learning, or I like to say more accurately, a remembering process. It's kind of like, I knew who I was the moment I arrived here on this planet, and I knew why I was here, but then I forgot all that. And so the bulk of my journey has been to kind of come back to that truth, and then start bringing that more fully into expression and experience.
Yes, with the exclamation point. That's what I say to all of that. You got my mind moving in a few different directions. That the highest, most divine part of me is love, and love is energy. Doesn't have a name like Laura. So I am this person who has roles and, a career and all the things, but all the things I do are not who I am. And so the older and wiser I get, the more I'm leaning toward the love and the joy part of me. And if I can walk around in my roles like that, I feel like I'm winning.
Yeah, that's great. And you're right, you're not your job description. I remember somebody telling me that a long time ago, and I kind of did a double take. Oh yeah, I guess I'm not. But yet most of us tend to associate with our job descriptions. We kind of associate ourselves with our accomplishments, the things that we've achieved, the things that we've collected, all of the goods and services, and the prizes and the trophies and everything else. We think of ourselves as the sum of all of our accomplishments and so forth. And really, that's not true at all. In fact, one thing that I have learned over the last few years is that I may not be all of the roles that I play, but all of the roles I play represented aspects of myself that I was bringing forth into the world at that time. And so it's great to be able to go back and remember all those roles, because now you can see aspects of yourself in different contexts. So I want to ask you something here, Laura. I know you've been really, really big in the publishing world and the writing world, and I know you were also a physical therapist, and also you did all kinds of amazing things. But what I really like to understand is your journey into this world of writing. Why did writing become so important to you? Writing and then publishing, I suppose. Why did writing become so important to you?
Well, the origin story started in a little blue polka dotted diary. And it started at about probably mid-teens, I would say 15. And really it was because I was venting on the pages about boys. And I needed a place that was mine to do what? What was I doing back then? I was writing some poems in there. I was writing my thoughts and my, a lot of times upset thoughts about what was going on or what I didn't like, but I also did a lot of goal setting and dream journaling in there too. And, believe it or not, it's funny. You're catching me on a week where I pulled the plastic bin underneath my bed that is full of every single journal I've ever owned in it. And I'm like, is it time to burn these? And so they're still there. I haven't quite made it. And I'm thinking about my kids and like, okay, maybe I just put them in the attic. I don't know. But that felt like something I might want to do, because there was a time, sometime in this past year actually, where I realized I spent so much time in my journals writing stuff I didn't like. And now that I know what I know about manifesting and what your pen does on a journal in terms of being a magic wand, I have completely changed my tune of how I write, what I write, when I write, and how I speak. And you know law of attraction, about this. So I looked back at that big bin of old venting journals, and then I thought, I don't know how much of that stuff is good and how much is bad, and maybe I just need to have a burning ritual. But that's really the start of it, is just like an outlet, a healing place, a secret place that was all my own to wonder about life and to, it's an awareness process, journaling. Yep. So I started young.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think that's wonderful that you did that. And I totally agree with your observation about the quality of the writing, how it shifts and changes over time. And I don't know that I ever consciously worked on this idea of the law of attraction, but I did know that if I keep focusing on negative energy, the negative energy is going to keep focusing on me. That was kind of how I framed it. And I thought, well, in that case, maybe I ought to find a way to reframe any thought that I consider negative. I got to find a way of looking for the gift within it, and maybe transform the thought into something about, okay, so this doesn't feel too good. What can I choose instead? What is, and your phrase, I think, is, what's your phrase?
With awareness. Yeah. What else is possible? And with awareness, we have a choice. Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
What else is possible? That's always a great question. That hasn't been the way I framed it, but that was effectively what I was doing. How can I transform this angst or whatever it is that's in me right now into something that can do some benefit in the world? And so over time, it just becomes easier and easier and easier, as you say. And it's like the ninja moves. You're right. When you first start out as a beginning Taekwondo student, or any kind of student for that matter, you look and see the teacher and you say, wow, that person is amazing. And yet one day you become that person. Isn't it the transition? And not only that, but in the mind, that transition is instantaneous, even though in the reality, it may have taken many years to get there. I think that's phenomenal to me.
In your intro, I wrote 2 words down from your intro: embodied alignment. Mm-hmm. And you're helping me too with a connection, because when we trained in the martial arts, and of course the better you get, the faster you're able to respond, and that becomes a body memory. So in the beginning, if you can't get your arm up fast enough, you're going to get kicked in the head.
Right.
But when you get good at that response, it requires full body presence. That's what I loved so much about the martial arts. It helped me be in here to respond. And when you're in here, you can respond quickly and in alignment and smartly and, with wisdom of what serves your own soul, right? Aside from not getting kicked in the head, but it's kind of like that in life too, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I love that embodied alignment. Like, I think that's what I'm after all the time.
Yeah, I think I agree. Well, frankly, I think that's what everybody's after, even though they might not articulate it that way, and they might not even be aware that that's what they're looking for. But I think once you find that alignment, you say, wow, this is amazing. I only wish I could have found this 20 years ago, 30 years, 40, 50 years, 60 years ago, because it makes a huge difference in life, you know?
It does.
And so we talked a little bit about your doing journaling. Now, what did you learn from that process of journaling that led you to become more as an embodied writer?
Yeah, like, okay, let's do.
You wanted to actually start publishing books.
Yeah, let's do a little hop, skip, and a jump to the method called Brave Story Medicine, because it's not just journaling. And when you get over here on this side of things and you've got a certain level of awareness and you understand the integration of body awareness, journaling, intention, energy, all the puzzle pieces start to come to fit together. The laws of attraction, the principles and ideas. Oh my gosh, I love marrying all those different things and everything I learned in my career of healing with putting that pen on the notebook. And there's stages of this. So most people start off, I'm going to write in the journal and nobody's going to see it. And you mentioned this too earlier. Right. And that's cool. And that is what you should prioritize, your own healing. But some people don't even write it in there because they're afraid of somebody finding the journal and reading, right? And so I always say, listen, burn them then. Burn the pages, because the process, the healing process, is way more important than that writing ever being anything that you'll publish or do something with.
Exactly right.
So, in the beginning, that's what it was for me. It's like I had to move some stuff out. I write to feng shui my soul first, clear it out, declutter, clean the channel.
Stop. See, that is a beautiful phrase, and I need you to repeat it.
Yes.
I need you to repeat it, and maybe, I'm sure that everybody instantly understands what you mean, but just say it again, and then just give your brief explanation about what you mean.
Yeah. I write to feng shui my soul. Okay, I'm a feng shui geek, David. I've done certification training. Some people don't know this about me. It's like my side passion, weird gig thing over there. But when I realized that you're also clearing a space, an inner space, I realized what my writing was doing for me. All these principles I had learned about, interior decorating, that type of feng shui. That's what people think about. A red door means this, and your door should face the north, and all these things. There's some traditional ideas, but I did a very non-traditional certification with a wonderful woman who has the School of Intention. And so now I brought these ideas. It's declutter. So get the self-sabotaging BS stuff out of your mind and body and onto the paper. Clear, declutter. Right. Then it's clean. So what is that? Well, it could be sound healing or breath work. Let's clean it out. Let's continue to clean this, whatever, this space that is my channel for divine wisdom. This is big potato stuff, right? Right. So it's declutter and clean. And then we have clearing, and cleaning and clearing I kind of put together, because you know how people will smudge themselves or they'll do breath work or they'll do sound healing. Oh my God, we could talk about a million different ways to clean and clear, right? But then my favorite, curate. This is where I get to use my pages as manifesting pages. I get to decide what I'm claiming for my truth and life and future, but I get to live it now on the page. But I'm not just living it on the page. I'm living it inside my body as I'm writing. This is powerful. So that's my short version of the feng shui connection, okay?
That's beautiful. I love it. I write to feng shui my soul.
Yeah.
Great. Love it. Yeah. So okay. So you write to feng shui your soul, and you also embody some of the energy clearing that you do as you're writing. And I think, so this is very, very powerful stuff that you're talking about. But let's try and maybe keep it simple for people who may not know all about all of these terms or these energy clearing ideas and stuff like that. What, if you could simplify it, what does somebody get out of just writing stuff on the page? Aside from the movement of the muscles to kind of move that energy out of the body, aside from that, what do people really get out of the writing?
So Louise Hay has this cool, famous quote, and it goes something like, to clean house, you first have to see the dirt. So when you can take a moment to write down some of the limiting thoughts and beliefs that are running through your head all day long, that you talked about, the negativity stuff, if you could see that dirt a little bit, and how are you going to see it? Well, it's in your mind all day long. If you're not paying attention, it's just sitting there limiting you constantly. But if you take a few moments, take a few deep breaths, ask yourself, what are the thoughts and beliefs that are limiting me right now? I'm not good enough to succeed at XYZ. And you put them on the paper, get them out of you. That's the awareness process. Now I look at my notebook and I'm like, whoa, there's the dirt. Now I can clean house, because the next time I hear it in my mind, you're not good enough to succeed at XYZ. Talk to the hand, man. Like, I see you, dirt. Like, I see you, but the writing is the first process of the awareness of it, right? So if I can get it out, realize I'm thinking that stuff. I swear to God, sometimes I've been journaling stuff and I'll read it to myself and go, whoa, you think that? Like, about myself, like, whoa, it's surprising what is in there, right? If you get out of your own way and just put it on the page, it's such an incredible self-discovery tool.
Right. So you have to see the dirt in order to clean the house. And this is important, an important thing that I'd like people to just kind of embrace. See the dirt, but don't judge the dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, see it and say, okay, there's some dirt there on the floor. I'm going to go get me a vacuum cleaner, and that's it.
Yep. It's not good
but
or bad.
Don't judge the dirt, because the dirt didn't do anything wrong. It's just sitting there.
Exactly. Right? And there's good reasons it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we personalize this a bit more, I like your statement, I'm not good enough to be successful at X, Y, and Z or whatever. If I have that thought in my head, or that, and I'm not even aware of it, then that means it's buried in my subconscious somewhere. And even when I try to say something above it, like, oh, I'm really good at X, Y, and Z, that thing underneath is the one that's driving the show. And if you're not aware of it, then you're going to wonder, I'm really good at X, Y, and Z, but I never get anywhere with it. What's going on? Why is this not working? You know, one of my teachers had his own way of describing it. He said, he talked about tabula rasa. You got to have a clean slate. He says many people, the kind of work they do, like with spiritual bypassing and stuff, often it's like putting on a clean suit of clothes before you get in the shower. He says you got to get the stuff off you first before you put the new stuff on. And I thought that was a beautiful image, because it's very, very true. If I just poke, positive thoughts into my mind, sure, that could have some positive impact. It could be great. But if I've got that underlying negative thought that's constantly driving the show, that guy's going to have a much harder time getting through.
I think of my mind, body, soul as either a race car or a racehorse. I don't want anyone else driving that car.
You're right.
If you don't get to that stuff, And so every day you wake up and something else is driving your race car, like, no. Right. And so that's where, like, awareness. You and I have talked so much about this topic over the years. It is the topic. It's the miracle answer to pretty much everything you want in your life. It's like, how much more aware can I be of these things? And oh my gosh, the lack of judgment is very important, because if you go right into self-sabotage about your thoughts, then you're in this terrible loop that you're not going to get out of anytime soon, right? No judgment.
And
just
look at
be
this,
happy.
You go even worse. You could say, wow, look at this. I'm such an asshole. I'm judging myself all the time. So now
Right.
you're judging yourself for judging yourself.
Exactly.
We just put ourselves into these crazy loops that really don't help us at all. And
No.
all of that is under the control of the ego mind. So if you want to, you can quiet the ego mind. There are techniques for doing that. And one way that we're talking about today is to take those thoughts, whatever the ego mind's saying, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're whatever, and write it down. Write it down. And just see what's there.
You got it. First step.
Yep. Awareness is always the first step. You want to travel 1,000 miles. Well, you're not going to get anywhere until you take that first step.
Exactly.
Yeah. So can you give us some examples of how people can learn to write this stuff? How they can pull it out of their system and get it down on the page?
I think the how-to is very, very simple. I mean, go grab your favorite notebook and pen, find some time to yourself. No distractions. Leave your phone in the other room. Turn off your screens. Take a couple of minutes, 2, 3, 20, to breathe. Notice how you're feeling. Get into your body a little bit, because that'll be the place where the stuff will start to move through from. Right? So just take 2 minutes of breathing. Everybody can do that. Notice what happens. I have a friend who always says, every time I quiet down, my mind goes a million miles a minute and it's awful. And I just bail. I want to distract myself. I'm like, well, how long have you given it? Can you last 3 more minutes? Can you focus on the breath? Can you focus on the sound of the air conditioner coming through the vent? Can you get into a focus that helps you into your senses and clearing that mind just a little bit more? But honestly, if we start to talk about meditation as a necessary aspect to this, many people will run in the other direction because they think it's sitting on a pillow for an hour, chanting or doing whatever. What I realized really early on with my journaling was that journaling is my meditation practice. And I loved that I gave myself permission for that to be true. And do I need to sit for 30 minutes before I write? No way. 3 deep breaths and I'm on the page. And so that's how you do it. You don't make any rules for yourself. You just,
right.
Where can I sit? What, if you don't know what to write, just start with describing something that you're looking at. I don't know. Make it easy on yourself.
Yeah.
I do the I feel prompt as my beginning prompt if I'm stuck with, I don't know what to write today. I feel. What do I feel? Yeah.
Right. Well, I think you've hit on a couple of really, really important points here. And I think I think we need to bring more awareness to this. I will go first with the idea of meditation. To me, meditation is nothing more than bringing myself present into the moment. However I choose to do that, it is good. If I'm dwelling on stuff that happened in the past, or if I'm worrying about things that are going on in the future, then I'm clearly not in the present, and that's not helping me. So if I can do something to bring myself back into this present moment, that is going to be of benefit to me. Now, in meditation, they talk about focusing on the breath. Well, the reason they focus on the breath is because the breath is happening right now in the present, right? But you can be focusing on the present by sweeping the floor. If you just sweep the floor and notice everything that's happening as you're sweeping, notice the feel of the broom in your hand, notice the movement of the dust on the floor, notice how your body moves in order to capture all this stuff and bring it together. If you're noticing that stuff that's happening right now, then you are meditating. And that's really all it is. So give yourself permission. That's another word you use. I give myself permission for that to be true. That's a powerful statement. Give yourself permission to be in the present moment.
There's a great book
The ego mind is going to do what it's going to do, and it will quiet down in its own time, right? And it might be screaming at you for attention. Well, here's a trick that I use. Sometimes I'll just stop and say, okay, what is it you want me to hear right now? What I'm doing now is I'm becoming present to my ego mind. What is it you're trying to tell me? Well, I'm trying to tell you that you're not good enough. Thank you. And why do you want me to know that? What is it about me being better that's going to make you happy? And we just have a little conversation, and he says, well, I guess I am kind of invested in you being better because I want you to have a good life. Oh, so you have some higher motivation underneath that, but you have kind of negative ways of telling it to me. Maybe we can find a different way for you to tell me that, I can pay more attention to this or that or the other thing. Because I get that you're really trying to help me. But I'm a big boy now. I'm an adult. I kind of got this handled. And I appreciate your warning me about danger, but I think I would like to be able to run my show myself. So thank you so much for being here. Please just stand back and let me do my thing. Often that's all I need to do. So it's a question of, it's like anything else. If somebody is trying to get your attention, maybe if you pause for a moment and listen, something good can come of that.
Yeah, I named my inner critic once upon a time to create the same awareness and space and having that conversation as you just talked about. So she's Martha. So like if I can catch it and I can step away from it, not be it, and have a conversation with her, that goes right in the moment of that separation and that having that conversation versus being all in it. That's the key. It's the golden nugget of awareness. Soon as you're there having the conversation, you got it. And you'll feel that you got it because it won't feel like you're in it, which is with all those difficult emotions sometimes. You made me think of a book too called True Meditation by Adyashanti. And he talked exactly about, you said sweeping. He talked about like washing your hands at the kitchen sink. Every single moment of every single day is an opportunity to meditate in the moment.
Yep.
And you don't have to sit for too long. You can use your full body presence, mind body presence to be in meditation with life.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, if you want something a little bit more extreme, well, think about events that you've had in your life where you were in just pure focus. I can think of one for me, the first time I went down a black diamond ski slope. I'll tell you, I sure as hell wasn't worrying about paying my bills or thinking about what happened yesterday with my wife. None of that stuff was in my mind. I was just thinking about that hill and how I was going to get down it. It was 100% focus. That's presence. That's meditation. That's being in the flow. That's what it's all about. Now, obviously, we're not all going to be in that state all the time. Well, maybe some people will, but I certainly am not. And there are times when my ego mind gets the better of me. So what do? Well, we've given you some examples here of different ways that you can quiet your own ego mind. But I just encourage you, find some way to just be present with whatever is going on. You're caught in traffic and some guy is giving you the finger over there. All right, can you just bring yourself present to your vehicle and what you're doing, what you're feeling, what are your hands touching? Are you on the steering wheel? Are you waving and what are you doing? What's going on? Become aware of it. Isn't that what presence is? Awareness?
Exactly. Noticing. The extreme sports kind of example is a fun one because I'm that person too. And you're just making me realize people might be adrenaline junkies. There's that. But the reason I love these kinds of activities is the reason you talked about. I cannot be thinking of anything else. And in other words, when you are, it goes back to the martial arts too, and especially sparring. If you aren't there, you're going to get kicked in the head. If you're on the ski slope, if you're not here, you're going to crash. Right. And I love, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I love driving my car and I love race car driving. You cannot
Oh, yeah.
be anywhere else but in the seat of that car doing what you're doing, or you will crash your car. So it's like a forced in these activities, and then of course, backing off from that. No, you don't have to be skiing down a slope or driving a race car. But I used to hate it, but I love house cleaning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, same things. And it can be simple. And I'm getting my workout, vacuuming and doing all the things, but I'm in my body. So I'm happy. Right.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. When I was a kid, my mom always made me and my brother do the dishes. And of course, because I was being required to do it by somebody else, I hated it.
Right.
But nowadays, I have my own house. I have my own. I wash my own dishes. Well, the pots particularly, and I actually love it. I get in there and I'm rubbing the pot at the bottom. I'm saying, "Ooh, I can feel a little bit of dirt still stuck on there." I'm getting my senses involved, and when I'm done, I feel a sense of pride for having done something worthwhile. Is it an earth-shattering thing? Not at all. Am I going to win a Nobel Prize for it? No. Nobody gives a shit whether I do my dishes or not. That's the truth. But the reason that I like it is because it brings me into the present moment. That's really the reason. So, Laura, we've been talking about presence and awareness as because I think, well, first of all, it's really, really important. But I do want to get back to the topic of writing, and I'd like for you to suggest a few. Well, you've already talked about some techniques, but maybe a few prompts or how people can come up with prompts, I guess, to help them with their own writing.
For sure. I'm chuckling because Star put chop wood, carry water in the chat, and I'm like, yes, exactly. Oh, yeah. I love chopping wood. Like that's the same reason. Yes.
Well, they said before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water.
Exactly. There's a full quote.
That's right. And I can't remember. It was Lao Tzu or somebody like that who said that. Anyway, it's a good reminder.
Prompts are everywhere. If you want a book of prompts, I've got Good Vibes 365. I wrote an entire book to give you one prompt a day, okay, for a year. But in truth, remember I mentioned if I am kind of empty, I'll just do the I feel prompt. But then if I don't feel like doing the I feel, then I will look out the window and I will just see what captures my eye, and I'll write about what's happening in front of me in the moment. So prompts are easy, but you can also shoot to something like, here's one of my favorites of all time. If there were no one left to offend, upset, or disappoint, I would. So you guys can take that one, okay, and play with that later. If there were no one left to upset, offend, or disappoint, I would. And this dives deeper, right? Another one, favorite of all time, write a letter to your younger self and tell him or her what you want them to know now, being the warrior woman or man that you are now. Right? That letter to the younger self can be extremely therapeutic. And then in general, letter writing, you've got people that you might still want to forgive. And you can do letter writing as prompts and just move this stuff out of you. One of the biggest writing things I ever took on was an entire book. I thought I was writing a book. And I signed up for NaNoWriMo, which was the National Novel Writing Month in November. And back in 2015, it was 30,000 words in 30 days. I was like, yeah, I'm writing a book, right? And at the end, it was 65,000 words detailing every wound of my childhood. And wow. That was the true feng shui I needed to do in general to really clear out. So if you've never given yourself the time to write about that, any of those circumstances or instances or your childhood, or go for it. Give yourself some time, right? Write some letters, write your book. And nobody has to read this. This is just for you to heal.
That's right. Well, I've heard this story, your NaNoWriMo story before, and I know that you actually haven't published that book. However, my understanding is that you have used some of the elements of that book as seeds for other processes and stuff that you have done. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us what's come out of that book, even though you didn't publish it.
Yeah, the book that got published is called Brave Healing. It was a signature book back when I wrote it. I want to say that was 2016. I'd have to look back at the date on that one. But it was one of the beginning teaching memoirs that I did publish based on allowing myself, giving myself permission to do those 65,000 words that, when I went back to that, we're not out to hurt anyone. Healers especially understand that the people that were taking care of us back then in our childhoods, teachers, parents, mentors, they were doing the best they could with what they had at the time, the awareness they had. And so I think if you're a healer, there's part of you that's done that work, and you're in some stage of forgiveness and acceptance of the people who wounded you, for whatever reason. Maybe some of you are or aren't there yet, but when I looked back at the 65,000 words, I'm like, you know what? I do want to share this story and allow people to not feel alone. I do want to share this story, right? And so I was able to look at it, decide what I wanted to publish and what I wanted to leave as therapeutic writing.
Yeah, I can totally resonate with what you said. I remember recently we had a call because you're doing another book. It's called what is it called? The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, Volume 6, I think. And this will be my first time writing in that particular book. And so I've been, going through the process with you again to get ready for the writing part of it. And during our conversation, it came to my mind that you asked the question, can you take a piece of paper and for every year of your life, write one key, or I can't remember the term you used, one important incident that happened, incident that happened in that point in your life. And I was thinking about that and I thought, holy shit, I can't remember any key incidents that happened in the first 8 or 9 years of my life. The first thing that comes to my mind is, well, my father built a what do you call it, a soapbox derby car for me when I was 6 or 7 years old. I remember that. But then my parents got divorced when I was 9 years old. And other than that, I really have no major turning point kind of events that happened. Then my mom got remarried, so that's another one. You see, over the years, I can put into different places in time the important things that happened in my life. But the truth is, I now look at my life as nothing really super important has happened in my life, but I have still learned a lot of information. I have gained a lot of wisdom over time, And I think it's important for people to understand you don't have to have any traumatic experiences in your life in order to be able to grow and expand. Just having a belief that you're not good enough, that's traumatic enough.
Well,
no matter where that belief may have come from.
The term is defining moment. I didn't use the word trauma when I was talking about that yesterday. So the thing is about, yes, I fully agree. And this is where people get stuck, is they think it has to be traumatic or tragedy or some horrible thing. Well, it's funny, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, wow, ask David when the founding of Life Mastery started. That's a defining moment. In other words, I can look at you and see some of your career defining moments when you made decisions to do something with your purpose. Let's write about that. Let's put those on the timeline. And that's what happens is, and just so you know, I have an extremely similar situation. When I got that homework, I looked at all these blank lines, and my mom is still alive. So I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, I need help with years 1 to 8, because my parents were divorced when I was 8. And so it was like, and so, okay, that was helpful. Like, she helped me through a few of the things, but who cares until there was one line where I'm like, oh, and the NaNoWriMo story, that was like a big story for me in terms of writing. And it was in this last 10 or last 15 that I was starting to use my yellow highlighter and say, purpose driven. Now, you believe this too. Everything we've been through is part of who we are today. And it was all helpful, right? Where we could be grateful for every bad or good thing. However, those are judgments. But I could really see a pattern that pointed toward this. And I could highlight some of those and be like, okay, that's going to be like a little signature story. I want to write about that. But certainly most of those are actually positive.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, in reality, now that I look back at it from my perspective today, everything was positive. It may not have seemed positive or uplifting or something that I would want to repeat when it was happening, but I see the gift in everything that has happened, and I'm grateful for the gift that came to me as a result of it. But here's the thing: I don't think that I could have appreciated the gift if I hadn't done the work to get underneath the, and get into the truth of who I really am.
Agree.
This is really important, I think. Ultimately, I think this is what we all want. We all want to know the truth of who we are, and we want people to see us as who we really are. I think all of us share those desires in common. Problem is, we don't all know how to do that. And sometimes, and I can speak for myself here, it requires bouncing around in a kind of a random walk thing. Try this, and until I discover that none of those things work. And eventually I have to change my entire life and do something completely different, which, as it turns out, was the right decision at the time. And now I can see all the benefits of the things that happened before,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's everything happens for us. We know that, right? We can make decisions. It points us in a direction. Nothing's really good or bad. I see everything as for me to get me to a place. And the truth of who we are, you made me think of something. I want to pull back to it. It's like, if you can't help yourself, in terms of like, if you're just trying to get to purpose without loving yourself, you're going to have a problem. Because remember how we started today? We were talking about the roles we play. And if that's your identity and you're all wrapped up in that, and you're not even really liking or loving yourself yet, you're going to have a problem. And so like, some of the work there is just getting back to like, okay, I don't care what I do. Can I love myself even if I wasn't doing XYZ? Can I pour that on myself now, no matter what? So this self-love journey is part of that work, of course. And then we can go out into the world and we can express our real selves, our authentic selves, the truth of who we are when we get to loving her, loving him. I don't know. It's part of it, I think, for me.
But Laura, I can't love myself because that would mean I'm being narcissistic and self-indulgent.
Well, some people take it over the edge, but I think most of us.
Well, I'm saying that because that's how some people react with the whole idea. They have a problem with self-love because they believe that to love themselves somehow paints them as, self-centered, selfish.
Well, there's an outward verbal of it, and there's a quiet self-care in the background of my life that you don't know anything about, but I love her and I take care of her. But
Right.
I'm not walking around like I am the best, amazing person in the world. And like, it's just, there's a difference between that quiet, daily, I'm gonna care for me first.
Right.
And then I get to serve you so much better, easier when she's taken care of, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I know
Oh,
you're,
I totally agree with you. Believe me, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
no, I
That's all.
know. I know. And there were some of us, a generation who were taught not to brag or boast or do the thing or be that way or love our, be mindful of the needs of others first and foremost over
That's right.
yourself. Like that was bad advice, y'all.
Right.
So yeah.
It was bad advice, but it was the advice of the day, and it came from all kinds of different sources. It wasn't just
Yes.
parents, and caregivers. It was ministers, priests, rabbis, teachers, politicians, everybody else. I mean, yeah. Even JFK in his famous words, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. It's all about making yourself secondary to the greater good of the community, which I have nothing against the idea of community. I think that's a wonderful idea, but I am useless to the community if I'm not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And so I think it is really important. So this self-love thing, there's a difference between self, capital SELF, like spiritually aligned life force love, and lowercase self love, in my opinion. The lowercase self love is the one you were talking about, where you're strutting around and saying, I'm the best thing ever happened, and so forth. Yeah, that's not the kind of love we're talking about here. We're talking about true, authentic, unconditional self love, which means that you will take care of yourself, you will honor yourself, you will, protect your boundaries, all these things without making anybody else wrong about it.
Yep. Do a love list. Here's another prompt for you all. So,
Okay.
like, you all know the gratitude list. This is one of my favorite ways to put my pen on the paper. I started making love lists, and I did it in two ways. What do you love so much you lose track of time? Start to make a list or journal, whatever, no rules. And then my second part of this was, how do you love to feel? And allow your body to be in the vibration of, oh, I love the feeling of love. I love the feeling of joy. I love the feeling of the giggles. I love, right? And I just make lists like this. And as I'm writing it, and even talking to you right now, talking it to you, it's in there. Like I get to conjure it up in the moment of the writing. And so this is not just putting words on a paper. You are creating energy and vibration in your body mind. That is how you're living in the moment. This is why I love this kind of journaling so much. And
Right.
so why not pick a love list, right? Like a joy list.
I love that idea. Things, well, and you could even take it a little bit more, a little deeper. What do I love about myself?
Yes.
You know, write it down.
One of my
And
books asks for 50 things you love about yourself. Try to do that, y'all. It's tough. Like
I
that's a
did,
lot of things.
right, in one of the books that I contributed to, it was one of the Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care books. I can't remember which one particularly, but I offered a tool called what I call the hyper listing tool. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
really
I
all about,
remember.
it's exactly about this notion of self-love or self-acceptance. It's radical self-acceptance. And so I actually suggested, hey, write down all the things you love about yourself. And however many things that is, well, that's great. Now, on the other side of the page, write all the things that you dislike about yourself. Now, people cringe at this idea. Why would I ever write about the things I dislike? Well, because your ego mind's telling you about them all the time. And here's the thing. I want you to do this because when you write down that list, for some people, that list is actually longer than the first list. But now what I want you to do is take every one of those things, and for each one that you find on that list, find 2 reasons that it has served you, that it has benefited you, that it has been a gift in your life. See if you can, and those now become things you love about yourself. And what you have done here in this process is you have created a list that is at least twice as long in positive terms as the negative list. That's the reason for the process.
Yeah, I love it. And the first list is the dirt. So it's an awareness process. So like, and then you took it the next step and when it did a 180 on it and doubled your positive, like, it's brilliant.
Well, you don't have to stop with 2 either. I was saying at least 2. If you can find 3 or 4 things, imagine how long your love list is going to become.
Yeah.
Anybody can do this. And this is beautiful because there are so many reasons to love you. There are so many reasons. There's an infinite number of reasons to love you. And one of the things that you said to me before, I think it was you, Laura, you deserve to be loved because you exist.
Yeah, you were born, so you are worthy. That's my version of that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful line, very, very important, and I think people would do well to embrace that idea. I see Star just added another comment. There's also the idea of being soft enough to accept the love of the universe and allow it to come into your deserving heart. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about here. All right, now we're getting close to the top of the hour here. I want to make sure I give you a chance to talk a little bit more about your brave medicine or your brave story medicine, because I think that's really, really important, and maybe suggest some ways that people might get involved with you in doing that.
Yes. The combination of awareness and writing is the simple way to put brave story medicine. But for my brave healers who are moving beyond their journal and they really understand that sharing a story heals them and possibly changes someone's life, brave story medicine takes it past journaling to reading that out loud to yourself, to reading into someone else. Ooh, someone else is hearing it, to publishing, to grabbing a microphone. And so like there's these steps from journal to microphone where you are becoming more out loud about your beautiful, brave words. And so I grab people, sometimes kicking and screaming along the route of those 5 steps, basically with the understanding or the statement, hey, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. And sometimes I only mean share them out loud to yourself. Because even when you speak a written word that you journaled, you'll feel a transformation in hearing it. Like it could even be on that end of the spectrum. For me, it's standing on the stage, it's publishing books, it's getting these stories of yours and my community out as big of a way as possible, leaving that legacy, right? Your legacy is my legacy. And so I'm using this brave story medicine method in every single expert collaborative book project that we publish, partnering with lead authors like you to do projects. And I will be teaching it in the Write Your Brave Book 2026 year-long book writing program. So if you guys want to know about that, we're going to spend a year together writing our books, our solo books, and in a community who gets it, who helps keep you accountable to this dream that you have.
You have links for these programs that you're talking about?
I do. I will get them for you.
Yeah, first of all, we can add them to the chat here, so people who watch this on Learn It Live can get access to them. But this is also going to be uploaded to YouTube, so I want to put it into the description field of that. So anything you want people to know about you, Laura, please just add that in, and I'll copy and paste it later.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I've got the link there for you for the book program. And you guys, on the bravehealer.com site, we've got a really wonderful access to the Brave Healer Resources Vault. And so that's the other one. And I can grab the link for that directly as well. But it's on my homepage at bravehealer.com. So got a few good free gifts for you. Yeah.
And believe me, the free gifts are amazing from Laura. But any way that you participate with her and maybe even become a writer in one of her books, that's an amazing experience as well. You'll become a better writer as a result of participating in one of Laura's books. And yeah, there's all kinds of opportunities here.
Thank you, David. You are an amazing writer. And I'm just going to say it out loud one more time because reading your chapters are a total treat. So I can't wait to get the one for the new book coming up.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I will. I'm beginning to own my ability to write, and I will say this, Laura, my skills have only improved since I started writing in collaboration with you and the other people in the Brave Healer publications. The quality of my writing has just massively improved, and I'm just so grateful for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have any final words you'd like to share before I close us out for the day?
Oh gosh. Okay. You've maybe heard it before, but what if that thing you're still a little afraid to share is exactly what someone needs to hear to change or even save their life? It is time to be brave.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. And bravery, by the way, doesn't mean you won't be a little afraid. Bravery just means you're willing to stand in the fear and do it anyway. That's all it means.
You got it.
Yeah, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you, Laura, for spending the time with us and sharing your amazing, beautiful wisdom. Thank you, people, for participating. Thank you for being on the live program or for watching the recording. And if you happen to be watching this on the YouTube channel, please click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can be notified of other programs. And I would like to close out with my final closing love mantra that I invite everybody to say all the time, every day. It's 3 sentences, easy to remember, invoking gratitude, awareness, past, present, and future. It's real simple. It goes like this. I gratefully forgive the imperfect being I have been in the past. I gratefully accept the magnificent being I am right now. I gratefully welcome the evolved being I am becoming in each new moment. So thank you all for being here. I wish you love, light, and blessings on your continuing journey, and I'll see you next time on MagnifEssence in Motion. Bye-bye.